Hey y'all, this is Wes Blankenship with DawgsHQ. Sunday afternoon news update for the Dogs fans out there. Tough development for RBU as my colleague Palmer Toms has broken the news, confirmed the rumors that Andrew Paul, the freshman running back out of Texas, 3-star over at On3, but certainly someone that Del McGee was high on. Tore his ACL in Georgia's second scrimmage and appears to be done for the year. Now, Paul wasn't going to be RB1. He wasn't going to be RB2, but he did have some buzz early on in camp and in practices as a guy that Georgia could potentially see getting some meaningful snaps. Branson Robinson is the other running back that came on the scene as a freshman. You've probably seen pictures of him as well. Big dude, looks like he's cut from granite, but despite that physique, it was still Andrew Paul who appeared to be getting the edge out of the freshman running back. So a tough development for the Dogs and their running back situation. Kendall Milton was already dealing with a little bit of a hamstring injury, so he hasn't been able to go with meaningful snaps lately either. So as of right now, it looks like Kenny McIntosh, Daijun Edwards, and Branson Robinson, as I mentioned, to be carrying the load for Georgia's running back room. And you know what the Dogs like to do. They like to split a lot of carries with a lot of different guys. And, as it looks right now, those splits and those carries are going to be going to just a handful of guys as opposed to a whole army like Georgia likes to do. Now, if Kendall Milton can stay healthy, I think this loss is, softened a little bit. The blow for this loss is softened. But until, Kendall can stay on the field, it's just going to be McIntosh, who, as Del McGee told us in camp, he's a lot of a kind of a receiving threat. He's a bigger dude, but he's not Zamir White. He's not like that. Andrew Paul was kind of like that. Kendall Milton is a load as well. That's kind of the thunder that Georgia likes to have in its backfield, and Kenny McIntosh doesn't quite have that amount of thump behind the shoulder pads. So you're looking at, until Branson Robinson can really step up and carry the load for these Georgia running backs, you're potentially looking at a drop-off in that physical, just pound you element of the run game. You look at Andrew Paul here, 5'11", 200, coming in as a prospect. That's a tough loss. That's a tough loss just in the depth department and potentially in the significant carries department if Kendall Milton can't stay on the field this season either. So it's August 21st right now. Georgia's been through 2 scrimmages as they prepare for Oregon. Definitely check out our other videos on DawgsHQ. As we heard from Kirby Smart yesterday, he alluded to a little bit of some bumps and bruises after Georgia's scrimmage, but we were not able to confirm this today. You can read the full story at DawgsHQ.com. Palmer Toms has more of a breakdown there, and certainly invite you to take advantage of our 7 days for free and a trial run over at DawgsHQ to hear from our community on the message board as well as they commiserate about this. If there's one silver lining, you look back historically at Georgia running backs, and I'm excluding Robert Edwards, who already made it to the NFL and tore his ACL. If you hurt your knee at Georgia, I'm not being flippant here. I do feel terrible for Andrew Paul, but the reality is this. Georgia's strength and conditioning and rehabbing and rehab staff led by Ron Corson is the best in the country. And you look historically at guys that have hurt their knees at Georgia, they go on to play pretty well. They go on to recover pretty well, and they make it to the NFL also. So the future could be bright for Andrew Paul. But as of now, I mean, you just hate to hear that a guy comes in as a freshman, hurts his knee like that, and will not get the chance to prove himself as a freshman at Georgia, which a lot of guys in Georgia's offense do prove themselves as freshmen. We have some updates as well on our message board, our premium content at DawgsHQ about some other freshmen on the defensive side of the ball that are starting to make some noise as well. And you look back last season, Brock Bowers, A.D. Mitchell, Ladd McConkey, all freshmen. And what they say at Georgia is, if you're good enough, you're old enough. Andrew Paul might have been good enough. Unfortunately, he is not going to be healthy enough this season in Georgia's backfield. Now, the upside out of this, were the running backs even going to be the focal point of this Georgia offense? Georgia is trying to spread the rock a little bit more than it usually does. You know, we like to call Georgia RBU, and George Pickens told me at his pro day that Georgia will always be RBU, going back to the days of Herschel Walker and all those running backs through the 90s, Garrison Hurst, you know, all those cats, all those dogs, I should say, but y'all know what I mean. Running backs at Georgia, freshmen or otherwise, you know, if they haven't been given the chance, when they get the chance, they usually make the most of it. So it is unfortunate for the Dogs that they won't get an opportunity to see what Andrew Paul was made of at the collegiate level. He was not highly touted by any means, but Georgia makes the most of that as well with its development of guys that their staff seems to really value. This staff is built on scouting well, evaluating talent the right way. Del McGee evaluated this guy and was the surprise of Georgia's late signing day. We started to hear some buzz. Our recruiting expert, Jake Roos, heard some buzz about this guy leading up to signing day, and then when it happened, we had it. We knew he was coming. And he did appear to be a guy that Del McGee just saw something he liked, saw something that developed late in his high school career, and it turned into a scholarship offer. And that's what Del McGee does better than anybody else. So at this point, it's not just new talent that you're bringing in other than Branson Robinson. It's development. What kind of step up can Kenny McIntosh take? You know, all the gloom and doom of everything I've just said, let's come back, let's settle down if you're a Georgia fan, and remember that Kirby Smart has been higher on Kenny McIntosh offensively this fall camp than anybody else. He's had more positive things to say about Kenny McIntosh than he said about anybody on the offensive side of the ball. So that's a good thing. That's great news for Georgia. They're still probably going to feature the tight ends more than anybody. They're going to feature the receivers as well, of course. Stetson's going to be unpredictable. How much depth do you have at running back, though? Can you pound it late in the game like Georgia likes to do and ice it away? That strategy is going to be a little bit different now, I think, without Andrew Paul in the fold. Thank you for subscribing to DawgsHQ on YouTube. Please help me get this video to 1,000 likes. Spread the word about this guy, and let's continue to wish him the best as he recovers. Please hit subscribe on our channel as well so we can keep you updated on videos like this in the future. Peace.